Here.
Mr. Hall,
Present.
Mr. Tortorelli.
Here. All right, please stand for prayer and pledge. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today with gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community. As we gather to discuss the matters before us, we ask for your wisdom, guidance, and discernment. Help us to listen with open hearts and make decisions that are just, fair, and in the best interests of our neighbors. May we be mindful of the diverse perspectives represented here tonight, and our deliberations be marked by respect, integrity, and in commitment to the common good. We ask for clarity in our thoughts and a spirit of collaboration as we work together to build a better and stronger community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4 of the agenda, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Dwyer,
Here.
Mr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Batson. Ms. Bush,
Aye.
Mr. Tortorelli.
Aye. Agenda is approved 5-0. Citizens' comments, do we have any tonight?
Yes, sir. We have 6 people signed up. The first is Jackson Brunger.
Okay. Please state your name and address.
My name is Jackson Brunger. I'm at 7105 Dice Lampley Road. I'm here to encourage you to deny this variance concerning the new police training facility you want to build on just up the road from my house. By approving this 50-foot tower, you are setting a precedent. Will city citizens now be allowed to build buildings this tall? What about individuals and businesses that have already been rejected to build at this height? Is it fair to reject someone else, but it's okay for the city? If you're going to set laws and ordinances, you should abide by them too with no questions and not asking for the variance. Also, the lights at 35 foot will disrupt the wildlife in the area. This is directly across the street and right beside the Bowie Nature Park, and the wildlife go from my property to this property to Bowie Nature Park, backward and forth. Since it's built next to the park, and the Fairview Police Department is planning on having night firings and night ranging. I also urge you to deny the variance for the detention pond for the same reason, as in how can you justify requiring people that are moving into this area and people that have already moved in this area that have built a pond and pay for this expense, but yet the city is wanting to not pay extra to have this pond covered and be more aesthetic. Both of these are hard for me and my family and my neighbors. Finally, the decisions you and the Board of Commissioners make about this police training facility will impact Bowie Nature Park and everyone living here for the rest of our lives. I probably got about 20 years left. So this 24 acres for a long time, please don't be a part of lessening the value and the beauty of Bowie Nature Park.
Next is Gina Brunger.
There's,
We'll have a public hearing. Okay.
yeah.
Next is Aaron DeBose.
Thank you for letting me talk. My address is 7075 Dice Lampley Road. So we are the driveway that you see right next to the driveway of this proposed facility. 2 weeks ago, there were signs put up, and we received a certified letter telling us about the variance for the tower. To our shock and all of our neighbors' shock, it was the first time we heard about this police training facility. We were told that it was put in the Observer in 2021. We were not notified. We were not sent certified letters. Signs were not put up, but you took the time to do that properly, and I applaud you here in the last 2 weeks over this variance. And when we reach out, we're told it's a done deal. My son is a 5th generation on this property. And the way that it's gone about and been done is suspicious. In 2006 and 2007, my mother and other people came here and fought against the police gun range, and they won. And now we're faced this again with the same piece of property. This property is not like all the other properties that Bowie donated. This was an annex and in addition to the park. It is part of the park. It's divided by the road. It is protected by her deed, her Bowie deed restrictions. Even though y'all chose not to put it in, the land trust, after the gun range was previously booed and rejected, you didn't put it in the land trust, and here we are today, faced with something that we addressed years ago. And it's just suspicious and unethical, and I think people need to be held accountable. And I will tell you that even if you say it's going forward, it's not. I mean, we will fight this. It's wrong, and I just think that the way you went about it was totally questionable. Thank you.
Earl Lampley.
I'm Earl Lampley, and my address is 49 Secluded Pond Road, which is not in Tennessee, it's in Georgia. But I own the property that your rifle range is proposed to shoot into. So when I got the letter last week asking for us to come and approve your variance, similar to what she just said, it was a total shock because I was around when this was disapproved the last time, and I was very shocked to see this again. I have a clipboard of questions. I didn't come prepared to give you a statement. But I would like to be able to ask you questions. Is that going to be possible sometime tonight?
Unfortunately, sir, my name's Josh Hogan. I'm here for the city attorney tonight. This portion of the meeting doesn't allow for a dialogue. It certainly allows you time to speak and voice your concerns, but the board does not get to interrupt you. They just listen to your comments. It's not a back and forth during this portion.
Okay. So there's
Second part allow that.
so there's no way that I can ask questions?
You can certainly pose a question to the board, and I'm sure they will consider that during their deliberations, but they're just not going to be able to answer you during this or during the public hearing matter. But you're welcome to pose those questions and ask them to consider them for sure.
Okay. Well, I'll ask the questions, and maybe you can think about them and hopefully come back with an answer. First, who did the design for this project? When was the design completed if this is a done deal? Is this a budget placeholder of over $1 million? Or is this budget already been contracted out to someone to do the work without having a finished design? How were the bids taken? Were there certain closed bids? Were they sent out to multiple contractors? Also, I would like to see copies of the EPA studies. I have been told that they included sound, wildlife, management, the whole gamut of everything that could possibly be impacted, but I haven't seen anything. Were there other sites considered other than Dice Lampley Road for a training facility? And this is a side comment almost, and kind of a question at the same time. I have been told that this would be...
Excuse me, sir. 3 minutes are allotted. Your time is over, but I'll give you an additional 30 seconds for your dialogue with the lawyer.
Okay. I'll submit these in writing to whom?
I I would say submit those to the city recorder's office, and she can give them to the city manager, and he can distribute them to the elected officials.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Priscilla Lampley.
My name is Priscilla Lampley. I live in Georgia currently, but I own the property on Crowcut and Dice Lampley Road. And I will state again that this is the property that the rifle range is planned for. On the map, we wanted to know, is there going to be an adequate berm to protect wildlife, to protect people, to protect the citizens of the city of Fairview? So on the map, it doesn't look like it's adequate. And so we know that guns can misfire, things can happen, and I don't want to see that happen. It is my desire for people to be protected, to be safe, for the environment to be protected, and everything that I have read about this is anti what Ms. Bowie wanted, anti what multiple citizens want, anti the Bowie Nature Park. And when you watch the city meetings, they say the Bowie Park is our city's most precious treasure. Treat it like one. So once if this thing is ever passed through and goes through, if the city has been wanting this for 20-plus years, I'm praying you have the funds to make it safe, to make it not harm citizens. I don't want to hear about a stray bullet, a gun just misfiring and going off. I want our police people trained. I'm pro-police, I'm pro-fireman, I'm pro-America. I want the best for everybody. I don't want to see anything hurt. I don't want to see people hurt. I don't want to see animals hurt, and I don't want to see the nature destroyed. We have, like my husband said, we have lots of questions about the EPA studies. I don't know if it's legal to give somebody a 5-day notice to pick up their certified letter. That's probably a question for the attorney. Do we not have a time period when we can be informed of such things that are going to happen to our property? Is that legal?
There's a time period prescribed by law to provide notice for these projects, and that has been published in the local paper, and it's been published at the sites near the property, and that notice is adequate.
Okay. Several people that own these properties are not within the state. Some people keep the property. We have had our property for over 30 years. We heard about this many, many, many years ago, and it was dropped. So I'm like some of the following citizens, we're very unhappy with the notifications. And so we are going to look into what our rights are, and would like to have things answered like the EPA studies. I would like to see copies of that. Why, that's not provided. We would like to know how far these assault rifles, how far they can go. Do we realize these are projected directly towards schools? If the long-range rifles are shot in the manner that is proposed in this building site, did you know these things can go for miles? Miles. So,
Ma'am, your 3 minutes is up.
Okay, my
Thank-
3 minutes are up, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for your time.
Lastly, we have Mike Cruz.
My name is Mike Cruz. I live at 7470 Crowcut Road. I'll be the first residence in the line of fire, less than 100 yards away. This is such a waste of taxpayers' money. I retired from a law enforcement facility there. They didn't spend money like this. You have to qualify once a year. Mostly the way it is, if you hit the paper, you qualify. I'm imagining that, like most law enforcement officials, I use a 250 scale. This is very, very dangerous for me because the way it comes, there's no way to protect, anybody on my property there. There's light woods there. It's very lightly wooded. Stray bullet can easily go through that and we're concerned for our safety concerned about the money spent on our community. You know, Fairview's terrible about the roads. A blind man can tell you when you leave the county and get into the city. Why not spend this money to help the people, something the people could use? Spend it on the roads, anything. You know, Fairview used to be such a great place to live, and now it's getting the reputation of the corruption it had in the past there. I mean, they do what they want. Don't listen to the people. You know, please listen to the people. You know, we're the ones that care. You know, you can easily go to the Williamson County and do the firing there. You don't need a $1 million building for a classroom. They could do a room downstairs there. You know, this is money just wasted. This is dangerous to the people that live around there. Please think about, you know, the people that live here, not the others there. You know, let's think about the people that have lived there and their safety and their concerns. The people that live here do not want this. It is not needed, sir. This money, they could easily go to where they've been going there, and look at the money it would save the taxpayers. And that's all I have to say. Please listen to the people. Thank you for the time.
That's all.
There are other people who signed up to speak. The sign-up sheet was on the podium. We signed up to speak.
I have 6 people on the sign-up sheet for
I
the,
don't know what I signed then.
you want to, you'll have an opportunity to speak during the public hearing. Is that what you're wanting?
Is that tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need to sign and speak again during the public hearing?
No, ma'am, you don't have to sign in to speak for that.
All right, item 6 of the agenda, approval of the minutes from March 7th, 2024, regular meeting. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Dwyer?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Batson? Ms. Bush?
Aye.
Mr. Tortorelli?
Aye. Approval of the minutes, 5-0. All right. Item 7 of the agenda, new business, variance request, City of Fairview Police Department Training Facility. Public hearing is open. Those that would like to speak, please state your name and address.
My name is Gina Brunger. We own a house and property at 7105 Dice Lampley Road. How can you ask for a variance for the police training tower and open water detention center when there's no approved site plan? To build anything, you have to have a site plan that's approved. The city's hired a civil engineer that's drawn up plans for the gun range and training tower. Surveyors are also already working on the site, yet no site plan has been approved. Do you realize that there are properties and houses that are on the borders of this site? In March 19th, 2015, the city board commissioner meeting, the commissioners voted and passed that this parcel of land should not be used as a training facility. This is what they had to say. Ooh, maybe. It says, discuss and or take action on redesignating our out parcel from Parks Department and Commission jurisdiction to its original designation as Public Safety/Public Works jurisdiction. Commissioner Bissell states he thinks we should rethink the decision to designate the out parcel as part of the parks and consider designating for public safety use. He states part of it could be used as an impound lot, or that part of it could be used as an impound lot or training facility. He notes if we stop using it for public works, they would need to take their refuge somewhere else, and because of the use of this land for that purpose over a period of years, it is likely to be uninhabitable by humans based on a study performed by Kansas State University. The mentioned study cites the acidness in leaves and the decomposing remains of roadkill makes it unsafe for human occupancy. They also made a motion to state that the property has been used for many things in the past and was purposefully left out of the land trust. For that reason, Mayor Carroll states that she hates to see it removed from the park system and that it poses a hazard, and it goes on and on. But that property has been deemed uninhabitable by the waste that the city has put upon it. That is in direct violation of what Ms. Bowie said. I have a copy of her deed. That piece of property was in the original deed. There was 794 acres that she deeded in 1988. In 1928, only 680 acres were put into the land trust.
1918,
Yeah,
2018.
2018, I'm sorry. 2018, only 680 acres were put into the land trust. That almost 25 acres, 24 point something acres, was left out intentionally. The address on the deed is 7041 Dice Lampley Road. Do you know that is the address of that little out parcel that you're planning to do this? I believe a lot of things have been pushed through the city meetings and resolutions, because when I tried to look up things, it says Resolution 34.21. You know, that's for a bond. If people don't know, that's for a bond here for $9,950,000. I found out this afternoon that a bond has been approved for the county in Williamson County, and they are building a brand-new training facility, just bigger than the one that you're proposing, that's not going to be very many miles away. I also have minutes.
Ma'am, I apologize, but I believe it's been 3 minutes.
Oh, I thought on this we got to talk as long as we want.
Oh, do you? Okay, I apologize for interrupting.
Okay. So in November 16th of 2006, and this was during the time they were trying to push the old range, the city manager, who was, I believe in Shirley Forehand, it just says Forehand, stated that she would like permission for the police department to use a portion of the out parcel, since they lost their firing range and to the transfer and water sewage properties. That was eventually in 2008. It was taken off the table, or you guys gave up. I don't know what the correct verbiage is on that, but it did not go through. But I think that since then, it's still been on the table. We, the people, just haven't been notified that these things have been going on. And when I don't live in Fairview, so I didn't think it was too important for me to come to these city meetings. I live in the county. But when I looked up and saw all of the minutes, it's just resolution so-and-so. It doesn't tell you a thing what you've been talking about, or where you get the zoning, or how you get things put through. You can't have an open retention water system over there if the land has been virtually condemned because it's uninhabitable for humans. This is not safe. I own guns. I shoot guns. I go to firing ranges. I was certified at the Williamson County Jail at their firing range. I'm not saying that the police should not be trained, but I don't think this is a good place. I don't think we're following Ms. Bowie's wishes at all for this property. And I would just like you guys to think about that and listen to the people.
Okay. My name is Charlene Chapman. I live at 7065 Dice Lampley Road. I share a driveway with the DeBoses, and we take an easement road that runs right along the property that is in question, and our property actually wraps around that property. So we're very adjacent to this property. I do understand the need for training facilities for our police, and I respect that. And I appreciate the chief giving, my husband and I both called him, but he called my husband back, and we both had an opportunity to have a conversation with him about the safety things that he's putting into place. I would love to see all that in writing as well. One of the concerns that we have is lead in the groundwater system from the ammunition. I understand that they have a process in place that they're going to take care of that, but our well, we are on a well, is right there. It's right off that property, and that's a very big concern for us. Another concern is I understand that I did not do my due process in coming to all the meetings and looking in the newspaper and seeing the announcements of this happening, the actual range happening. I understand it happened, the meetings were in 2020, 2021. We were owners of that property at that time. I understand that Fairview probably did the minimum required notifications in order to let people know that this is happening. I too, my husband and I both, do not live in the city of Fairview, but we actually are right there on the border. I do respectfully request in the future that when something like this happens, that Fairview take that extra step, add that integrity to communicate with those people who are closely related to this situation. Those people who have spoken, whose property runs right up there, it would not have taken much for you to send a letter to those people at those properties to say, hey, this is happening. So I do respectfully request that you do that. And the other thing I respectfully request is that you deny the 50-foot tower. Fairview has a maximum height of 35 feet. If this is training facility for Fairview Police, where in Fairview are they going to have to be shooting from 50 feet? There is a concern because I know that they're going to be shooting down into a berm, but I'm concerned about that height. And then in the winter when the leaves are off and there's not that sound buffer, there's that height. And honestly, y'all can be looking into our backyard. And I understand we have helicopters, I understand about drones and things like that, but I hear most of those things when they come by. So I just respectfully request that you consider those, and also respectfully request that you take that extra step using your integrity to communicate with those people who are directly affected. Thank you.
Dennis Chapman. I live at 7065 Dice Lampley as well. I echo all the concerns my wife had, especially about the 50-foot tower. But I also feel that in order to mitigate a lot of the concerns we all have, that maybe we could revisit this project and consider putting in a smaller indoor range that would mitigate the lead issues, the sound issues, and some of the other safety issues that you might see. I don't know how much this project is going to cost, but I can't imagine with all the dirt work, all the work that's going to have to go into one existing like this, that a small indoor range wouldn't suffice to help train our officers. I'm pro-police. I know they need to be trained, and I just think that we should consider revisiting this and putting in maybe something like an indoor range that would mitigate a lot of the concerns that we all have. Thanks.
Sorry, I just wanted to add a little bit more. When you Google home values around shooting ranges, it'll tell you the property is going to decrease, the value is going to decrease. We live outside of the city limits. I pay a lot of money on my home insurance because of my fire protection class, because I am outside of city limits in Fairview. My driveway is right next to this. I'll show any of you the picture. When I call 911, Williamson County responds. Williamson Fire responds. In 2008, when this was left out of the land trust, understand, it was shortly after preceding the gun range being rejected. Okay, I called the Tennessee Land Trust, and I just want everybody here to know that even though the city purposefully, I feel, left it out of the land trust, Miss Bowie's intentions for that land must be honored in her will. It must be honored. They can't do what they're proposing to do, period. It must be honored. So you're going to face legal action. I've also spoken with the Southeastern Environmental Law Firm. You can't do this. It's really unethical, and the way you didn't notify people was wrong. And I just want to add that. I mean, we live out there because we love the wildlife, we love the peace, but you've got to honor Dr. Bowie's intentions. Now, I know there was other properties, but this was an annex in addition to the park, and on the maps, like they said, it is a part of the park. Because you chose to go about it the wrong way, you can't all of a sudden say, we're putting a fire range, a police training facility, and God bless you, police, because I pray for your safety. I truly do. And I think the world of you, but this facility does not belong where you're proposing, and you're going to have a battle. Thank you.
Caleb Duke, 7447 Crow Cut Road. Technically Fairview, Tennessee, but I live in the county. There's a few things that I have wrong with this decision. One, I wasn't notified. I don't live in Fairview. What if I don't have Facebook? I do. Some people don't. I don't get the newspaper. Someone else commented, well, it's on the website. You know how much you have to dig to find it on a website? A lot. Let me tell you this. My house is straight down range from the long range. Straight down range. I have a family. If you propose to shoot from a tower, I don't know if this is, usually these towers are observation towers. If you plan to shoot from this, the elevation between that tower and my home, 0 feet. Measured it today. Google Earth does wonders with elevation. Let me tell you this, you hit my kid, you hit my cattle, my wife, my house, there's a lawsuit that you don't have the money for. Dangerous decisions, guys, dangerous. Let's talk about an environment. My background, I'm an environmental scientist. I'm an ecologist. I used to work for this group that designed this thing. Don't do that anymore. I'm on my own. So let me tell you, has there been a habitat survey for bats? Because there's habitat there, endangered species. I requested an official IPAC the other day from U.S. Fish and Wildlife on my own. Has there been a hydrologic determination report done? No. It would be listed on TDEC's website. We know who TDEC is. Hadn't been done. There's a stream on that property. If you check for streams and wetlands, there will be a buffer offset on that. Has that been implemented into the plan? What about the tree variance? I've done multiple JDs in the city of Fairview, outside in the county. Guess what? You got to pay into a tree bank. Ms. Anderson mentioned that in many meetings, as well as wetlands. How much money are we, not me, I don't live in the city, but taxpayers going to pay into this tree bank? Or does that come directly out of your pockets? Think about that. Whose money will be paid to offset the number of trees? Because trees per acre out there are greater than 300. What about shooting safety? Have you guys taken a shooting course before? Hand safety? Rule number 4. Anyone know what that is? I'm sure the police know. Always be sure of your target and what's beyond. You know what's beyond this range is a family? How would you feel if someone got injured? Next, what's the tire necessary for? Observation, great, 35 feet. How many structures in Fairview are greater than 35 feet? 0. Much less 50 foot. So what's the point of it? Long range ends approximately 1,000 feet, could be less from my property. An AR-15 can exceed much further than that. 5.56, .223 round. What type of ammo are you using? What type of ballistics? Are you using jacketed traditional hollow points, jacketed, full metal jackets, or are you going to use frangible? That could be safe. That could be an option. I don't know these things. Frangible bullets, they explode upon impact. They're much less dense, they break apart much easier. What's being proposed? Again, I don't know when this was proposed. I don't know. I didn't get a note. The only thing I've seen are signs out by the property. That's the first time I knew about it. Some of the locals here that live right next or adjacent to the property, they got letters. I didn't. I guess that's because I'm across the road. And he's within a quarter mile or less. So am I. No letter. Can you ensure my family, my livestock, my home are going to be safe? I don't think you can. What kind of bullets, again, are you using? Let me ask you this. I live in the county. Can you tell me what I can do with my rifles? I have some precision rifles. Can I shoot directly that direction? Sure. Safely, because I've taken gun courses. But would you have a concern? Would these police have concerns if I was shooting right back at them? Yes. But it's safety. Even if I put up steel plank targets, even if I put up a burn, would they still feel safe? I don't know. They may come talk to me and say, yeah, he's a good shooter, he's a good shot, good marksman. They'll still be concerned just as I am as a citizen. Not of Fairview, but of the county. I've lived here my whole life. Born and raised. Wayne, you know, my dad helped Bowie Nature Park get approved. Without the mitigation that he had done, wouldn't have been approved for what the roads and the systems back there. You got to be concerned with what the citizens have to say too. The safety, the well-being. You know, ricochets happen more than you think, especially if it's from an elevated surface. One tick of an angle or an MOA could be off. Are our police trained properly with MOA, with rifles, with tactical gear? I like to see what kind of courses they're going through. Because some Barney Fife with a pistol doesn't make me feel safe. I promise you, there are people in this world that are better shots than cops. But guess what? They've also been through training. I know our cops are well trained, and I respect our cops, and I love our cops. They do a great job for our city, and our Williamson County cops do as well. But I just want you to think about that, as that happens quite frequently. Ricochets happen, and ricochets from a .223 are not just going to travel 50 feet. How can we be sure that the berm has no rocks in it? That the berm that's backed by concrete is not going to get chipped or hit? A flat surface has more trajectory than a dirt surface. It could even come off dry grass. Do your research before you approve this. Thank you.
We'll close the public hearing. Sorry. Go ahead. Yes, sir. Come on.
I'm concerned about.
Sorry, could you state your name and
Oh, I'm
address
sorry.
one more time?
Earl Lampley, 49 Secluded Pond Road, Cleveland, Georgia.
Thank you.
Okay. And I am a adjacent landowner. I'm concerned about the use of the property. I have been told that the police officers were the only people that could use the facility as far as the gun ranges. And I just want to verify that you guys are in agreement with that, and no other counties, no other cities, no commissioners, no, the mayor, nobody can use it except for the police officers of Fairview. And then also, I know that you were going to use the training classrooms and allow fire training for your fire services. Now, that's what I have been told, and I want to believe that's true, but just based on some of the comments tonight, I'm not certain that I can believe anything that I hear. or even gets passed as a resolution. So I want to state that. And also, I just wanted to make certain, is this really a good use of our tax dollars in this city? And even though I don't live here, I promise you I pay city taxes because I'm part of a trust that owns property, and we pay you plenty. And so I'm concerned that we're spending this kind of money for one day a month for the police officers to go to the ranges and then bypass the things that you're using today, like in Franklin. And even I have an article that I pulled up. I know Governor Lee loves this city and supports it. And he is building almost a $500 million training facility for law enforcement along the Cumberland River. I'm assuming you all knew that. And it is something that all of you can use. It's very clear, I'll give it to you. But I would like for you to really reconsider spending that money. If you spend much time over on Crowcut Road, like I have, you'll know that the traffic patterns have changed because of the traffic on Highway 100. It would be much better to follow some of the state traffic studies and install a traffic light at Crowcut and Highway 100 and alleviate that. People in that side of the city drive down Dice Lampley or down Crowcut till they get to Ocox Pike so that they can go somewhere and come out at a light, because it is so dangerous and time-consuming to get out at Crowcut. I think your money could be spent much better.
Got two of the things I want to ask you real quick. Are you aware that the Williamson County Sheriff's Department is planning on building a police training facility somewhere in Franklin? And also, are you aware that Fairview 4 2040, they encompass all the land of us that live in the county right there beside the park? And what you're proposing to put a rifle range right here in the middle of where the Fairview 4 2040 plan would project would be part of our property too. Not that I have any plans if y'all plan on annexing that, or even we want to annex that, but according to the plan on the website, that encompasses all of our property here that we own. Also, even though I don't think anyone here that spoke is part of the city limits, but I've been here, I'm 67 years old, I've been here my entire life. My grandfather bought his property in the 1900s. He's buried on that property. My mother was born on that property in 1937. She's buried on that property. I have kids, I have grandkids. Aaron's mother is buried on that property. The decisions you make that you think you're making for the city affect me and all of us here. You represent not just the city, but you represent me, because I had no other voice except to come to you and tell you this is wrong and this, and it really feels shady, to be completely honest. But I believe you guys are all honest people and trying to do the right thing, but we're just not getting informed. And even though you might have met the minimum requirements for the Fairview Observer, I like the Fairview Observer, but honestly, I don't read it anymore. I don't think hardly anyone reads it anymore. I feel bad for them, but everything's online. I don't go online and check every time the city comes up. But we're not being informed, and like they said, my property is 1,000 feet from where this is being proposed. So that's all I got. Thank you.
My name is Priscilla Lampley again, and I live in Cleveland, Georgia, 49 Secluded Pond Road, but I own the property on Crowcut Road and Dice Lampley Road. I just wanted to add that in conclusion, I do want to say that I totally disagree with using donated property in this manner by the city. I don't think it should be developed this way, as has been stated before. I don't know the legal ramifications of that, but I think that some of us can find that out. I want to say that I support the policemen and firemen and all emergency personnel that are trained. And I do think there are adequate facilities around that will not endanger the citizens of Fairview. I also state that I am adamantly opposed to a 50-foot tower. If the property it goes through and it is developed, please consider the 35-foot limit. I think our parks and our wildlife and our people have been affected enough in a lot of different ways. I don't know how the city can justify approving a design submitted like this that in my opinion, can be detrimental to the environment, to animals, and to people, and the citizens. I think it's alarming. I also would like to say that I was told when I talked to someone in the city that there would be no sound impact, and my children were in the Georgia shoot. My grandchildren were in the Georgia shooting. They were on the campus where the Georgia shooting happened. They were not in the high school, but it's a complex. High school's here, in this area, middle school's here, elementary school's here. There were things that were put on the web that they were going to hit 5 schools. There's some other schools right across the road and in a short distance. My son lives a half a mile. There's plenty of trees, there's plenty of wildlife, there's plenty of traffic sounds. He heard the shots of the high school with an assault rifle inside the school. He went out on the deck and said, "What is that?" They had installed buttons with the teachers. They pushed the button, the police were there in a record number of times. We appreciate everything, that it saved lives. We want them trained. We love our policemen. We love our country. We just want everyone to be as safe as possible. And I just want to say, when you can hear an assault rifle half a mile away and know that something's going on, that something's wrong, that is sound environment, right? So I don't know what type the EPA study showed, but I do also, again, request that we get to see these. And thank you for all your consideration.
My name is Gina Brunger again. I have a copy of the deed. I got it from the county, and it states in it, if it's 17 pages long. Miss Bowie knew what she was doing. This was well before she died, well before it got put in the land trust. It was 1988. But she states in this deed, she states in this deed that if the property is not cared for by the city, by her wishes, it can be converted to the county. So I just want you to think carefully, because Bowie Park is the jewel of Fairview, and when you start chipping it away and people start getting agitated and upset and mad because this is not her wishes, there's going to be backlash, and I don't want to see Bowie Park done away with. Thank you.
My name's Mike Cruz, 7470 Crowcut Road. I too was not informed of this, just heard from the child. You know, your kids growing up are great. Grandkids are wonderful. You get to send them home, you know, when you're tired of them there. But I love my grandchildren, love my grandson. How can he go out and play in my backyard when it is possible right now? The forest is so sparse right there. A bullet can come straight through. How can you put my grandson in jeopardy? And you guys are doing it. You really are. Are you that cold-hearted? Really, you are actually putting my grandchildren in harm's way. Please have a heart. Listen to these people. Do the right thing. Thank you.
I'd like to invite anyone else up for the public hearing if they so wish to speak. Otherwise, All right, public hearing is closed. All right, item 7A2, did you want to do your section? Yeah, okay. Resolution BZA 02-24, a resolution of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Fairview, Tennessee, approving the variance request for the City of Fairview Police Department Training Facility, map 043, parcel 044.00, property owner, City of Fairview.
Our Planning and Codes Department received a variance request from Civil and Environmental Consultants, Engineer Matthew Pfeiffer, requesting that they would like to construct a 50-foot tall police training tower. The proposed tower will be a restricted access training that will be utilized for planned training and observation. Zoning of the property indicated a maximum structure height of 35 feet. From our conversations with city staff, we understand that the height limitation is intended to prevent light pollution and to ensure emergency services can reach any occupied space from the ground. Any range lights affixed to the tower or placed on light poles on the site will be kept below 35 feet. The tower will be tightly controlled and access will be restricted to only during scheduled training. There will be no permanent occupancy in the tower due to the restricted occupancy of the tower and the compliance with light height restrictions. We're requesting an exception to the 35-foot height restriction for this structure. The letter goes on to state about the stormwater detention structure. That will be a matter that is taken up by the Planning Commission at site plan approval of this project. Within your packet, you have two exhibits. You have an exhibit of the site plan, which we have also included as the next slide in this presentation, and you have an exhibit of the location of the property, commonly known as the Fairview Outparcel of Bowie Nature Park. Bree, can you go back one slide? This slide is depicting the proposed training tower, and we do have a representation tonight from CEC to explain any questions that you might have.
Hello, my name is Matthew Pfeiffer with Civil and Environmental Consultants. Sorry. I'm here to answer any questions that the board has about the particular tower and the variance that we're requesting. I think he outlined it pretty well from our letter, but any additional questions?
What's it made? What is the tower made of?
It is timber framed, similar to a telephone pole, and it's wood sided.
And you are here only to explain the actual structure. You have nothing to do with the use of the structure. Is that correct?
Are you referring to the design or the police use of the structure?
The police use of the structure.
The police use of the structure is going to be governed by standard operating procedures put into place by the Fairview Police Department and the city. I'm here specifically for the design of the structure.
Are you also designing the berm?
Yes, I am.
Would you speak about the berm that's been brought up by several folks in their questions?
The berm has not been finalized. We're making sure that we review available government standards and other guidelines to ensure safety.
Mr. Chairman, may I provide a point of information?
Yes, thank you.
I think the board members are probably aware, but just based on the comments this evening and for the larger audience, I just thought I would quickly talk about the board's role today because it's a very limited one. This is an administrative body. It's not a legislative body. You don't have any authority over appropriation power to spend money. You don't have any authority over the zoning or the land use. You have to apply the code that the Board of Commissioners has put into law by ordinance. And so when you're reviewing this application, your review today is is solely for the zoning variance. The uses, the building materials, the site plan, those are done by other bodies, whether it be the Board of Commissioners or the Planning Commission. But your review is limited to the zoning variance and whether or not it meets the conditions for a variance as stated in the city code. So those are located at 17105.4. That's the standards for a variance. There are limits to the jurisdiction of this board, 17105.1. I don't think any of those apply. I don't think there's any argument that any of those apply. This has been adequately noticed in accordance with the code. 17109 contains the public notice requirements, and those have been met. So your review, while there's a lot of really good discussion, just wanted to point out for you and the larger audience, your review is limited to the standards for a variance as dictated to you in the city code.
Lighting.
I do think, Mr. Hall, that would be appropriate, considering that that's one of the factors for the impact of the structure and the variance. Yes, sir.
What I was interested in is the impact that it might make on wildlife, is to keep it from encroaching on the actual Bowie Park that's under the land trust. I know around Walmart we have lighting that goes straight down rather than spread out. So I'm just wondering how your lighting procedure is for this facility.
For the lights on the facility, they're intended to be restricted to the facility itself. They'll include reflectors to make sure that the light stays on the facility, and they'll obviously be under the 35 feet to limit the extent of what they illuminate.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
So when you say that the light is restricted to the structure, does that mean it reflects only back onto the structure, or does that mean that the light could reflect away from the structure?
The lights are intended to light portions of the firing facility downrange, and there are some lights that are intended to provide security lighting around the buildings. So it's not projecting onto just the range building. Mostly it's projected towards the ground.
I got a question for the city attorney. Now, I'm just a redneck, so I mean, I don't, really know all these fancy law jargon. So is what you're telling us there's only one way that we have to vote, and that's it?
No, sir, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that as an administrative body, you have to apply the law as it's written, and the standards for a variance are in the city code, and that code is, it's 17105.4. There's 7 different criteria. So when you make your decision, and you're free to make whatever decision you want, you should vote your conscience, but it needs to be based on that criteria.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions from the board? Thank you for your time. Do I hear a motion?
got a quick question. If we, the vote, are we voting for both tower and pond and together, or is it going to be a split vote? Or two different things you're voting on?
Just the tower.
Just the tower, okay, all right.
The resolution tonight is exclusively the variance request for the height of the tower by the City of Fairview Police Department.
Okay.
I think having heard from the neighbors surrounding the property, I motion to reject the proposal.
Second.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Tortorelli?
Aye.
Mr. Dwyer?
Aye.
Mr. Batson?
Aye.
Ms. Bush?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Abstain.
Motion to reject approved, 4, 1 abstain. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second. Thank you.